Hello and welcome. I'm Caleb Hilliard, the TV media teacher here at Arlington High School, and I'm joined by former SCS board member, lieutenant for the Memphis Fire Department, and mayor of Arlington, Mayor Mike Wisman. How are you doing in your fourth term as well?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, welcome to the This is Arlington studios. I know this isn't your first time coming in, but I'm sure we've made some improvements since the last time. Yeah, it's nice to be under the lights again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is nice. I'm really proud of what you guys have done with this program.
For sure. So we're going to get in immediately to essentially everything that's been going on over the last 10 years.
Okay.
Now, if we were to get into everything, we would be here for 3 days talking straight. There's been so much going on. I can remember growing up in the Memphis area, coming out to Arlington, and we would come to the square and things like that. But now you come out here, you can pretty much do anything you want. You know, it's really growing. And some things that are happening, like the new Kroger, we also have major developments going on. Can you highlight some of those key things that have happened in the last 10 years and recently in the last few years?
Yeah, so I guess up to about 10 years ago, we were predominantly a residential community. You know, we had Kroger, we had McDonald's, a few fast food, but everybody was complaining that, well, of course, a lot of people like it to stay small and not have anything, but then people, as they moved out here, and we're a very young community, average age is like 32 and a half. So when you start having a lot of families out here, they want things to do in town that they can eat, shop, play, basically, in town. So we did a big focus about 10 years ago. I guess I got elected in 2011. The first thing was to get the schools going. After that, it was really get our parks going, and then we knew that if we kept doing what we were doing, that the commercial would come with it. And so as the commercial has grown, it's increased a lot of opportunities in Arlington for people just to stay out here during the day, and that's what people are looking for. So, I mean, we were, I think in 10 years ago, we were probably around 12,500 people. We're probably right around 16,000 now. It doesn't sound like a lot more, but, you know, as each new subdivision comes online, that adds, you know, 3 to 4 people per household, you know, for a family. So, again, we're very young, so having the sports programs, the events. I mean, I think we had just basically a Christmas parade and Arlington in April and a couple other small events back 10 to 12 years ago. Now we have Arlington in April, Christmas parade, 4th of July fireworks. We have a Christmas tree lighting. We have Easter events. We have some music on the square during the summer. So we've been able to kind of just showcase and draw people to town. And once they come here, they're like, man, this is a great place to live. So it's really helped out the community.
It's about the community, but it's also about the culture as well.
It is.
And a lot of outlets in the state of Tennessee have rated Arlington as the second fastest growing community in the area, but also the best place in Tennessee to buy a home. Why do you think that is?
It's just because it's affordable. It's when I say affordable, we have a very we've had very high standards, I guess you would say, as far as what we're doing, building, growing forward. So people like that. That conformity of the way that the buildings look and all that, but just, again, top-rated schools, great parks, great services, you know, and services you don't think of. I mean, sewer, you know, we the sheriff's department substation out here. We have, you know, the fire department. So when people look at what they're getting their bang for their buck, I mean, when you can do it and still have Memphis and the larger things that you may or may want to do in a metro area and be, you know, 8 miles up the road from Bartlett, Wolf Chase area, and 20 minutes from downtown, 25 minutes. It's a great place to live, to kind of feel like you're not part of the big city, but you can have those amenities if you want them.
Definitely. And as the businesses continue to grow, as we get more things into this area, you know, one of my favorites that I get in Memphis off of Mendenhall, Pliables, a smoothie place, something small like that, you know, it's really you're able to see them nurture and grow and flourish. How do you keep this a business-friendly climate?
Well, it's the people. I mean, you have to have people that support them. So we, as a government, we can't pick and choose of what does or doesn't come here. We zone it a certain way. We zone it shopping center or business, you know. And so a good example is, you know, we have 2 McDonald's in Arlington now. And, you know, some people are like, how come it's not Chick-fil-A or another brand? But we try to tell them we can't control what comes in. We just control the zoning. And so as long as people are supporting those businesses, we're going to have all eyes from national chains, you know, small mom and pop type stuff looking out here to want to be a part of it, and that's what they like, that local support. And you know, I want some more commercial, not a lot. I don't, not necessarily big box, but like I told somebody the other day, I would love a Hobby Lobby or Home Goods to come out here, because I said those are like the moms and the grandmothers that like to go shopping during the day. They eat at the restaurants. They buy your groceries out here, and we're like, you know, we need some more boutique type stuff like that, or you know, stores and boutique. But that's the kind of stuff that really helps our local restaurants out, because for everyone that opens, we want them to stay open.
Yeah, and as the business community continues to grow, so does the residential community. You have the Hawthorne multi-use area coming very soon, or when is that? Can you give us a timeline?
Hawthorne is about a $500 to $700 million mixed-use development, which has mixed-use means you have single family, you have multifamily, you have sometimes living over commercial. You know, you've seen some of those buildings around where there may be 2, 3, 4 stories high, and there'll be commercial on the ground floor and living above there. And then it also has other, you know, types of shopping and walkable trails and like possibly like an amphitheater. It's kind of like one of those communities where you should, if you moved in there, you can kind of never have to leave, even though you probably, you know, would. But I'm just saying, right, you can walk. That one's coming online. Should start moving. They got to do some road work first and infrastructure, and that's starting actually over the winter. And then we'll see some residential lots come in first on some townhomes and about 160 units or so. And then once they get to like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, then the commercial and the other side of the more of the interstate frontage will start. But that's, you know, it's probably a 5 to 7 year project.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things take time, along with the Providence development too, which is about 100 times that big. It's a huge development as well.
Providence is actually, they just pulled the residential part, just pulled 42 residential permits just this last week. So we're about to start seeing the residential portion of that go up, and then within the spring or summer, we'll start seeing the 3 multi-level buildings that are 3 stories each with the mixed use on them, and then some others with I think there's another bank or 2, another restaurant or 2 coming in there, and then some office. And so it's going to be it's that whole corridor of Milton, Wilson, and Airline is really starting to kind of fill in.
Yeah, definitely. And Blue Oval City has to play somewhat of a role in this. It's right down the road. It's bringing thousands and thousands of jobs to West Tennessee. How much of a role does it play in Arlington's development as a whole?
It plays a lot, because no offense to some of the communities that are farther around Blue Oval, but a lot of those are really small towns.
Right.
And they don't have, whether it's the infrastructure, they don't have schools. So people that are coming from out of town to work at those places, they're looking, where's the best place to go? And fortunately for us, we are 15 miles down the road from them, and we're the most all-inclusive community that you can get to first, and it's a very attractive community to be able to do what you want to do. So even though the plant has slowed down, it still has created enough of a buzz in the area to where not just Arlington, but the surrounding areas of Arlington, the community, you know, even the Galloway and Lakeland, there's everybody's seeing a little pickup of what's coming on.
Yeah, and just like Blue Oval City is growing and jumping to a massive scale, Arlington Community Schools is doing the same thing. And you've been around since the beginning. And so to go back into your career a little bit, you were on the Shelby County School Board from 2008 to 2013, correct? And you were played a massive part in creating Arlington Community Schools. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, something I'm very proud of.
Yeah, for sure. And over the last decade, can you talk about how amazing it has been to see it grow over the last 10 years?
Oh, it's amazing. Even so, not to get into the history, could go a while just on that subject alone, but around that 2010 to 13 range, Shelby County Schools was in a good spot. I mean, we liked where we were as Shelby County Schools, and that's including, you know, Houston, Germantown, Bartlett, Millington, you know. And the problem was with some of the annexation laws, Memphis was reaching out and grabbing schools as Shelby County would build new ones, and so that created some stuff called a special school district, so which, not to get in the weeds, really kind of created Memphis wanting to try to stop us from freezing boundaries. That's all we wanted to do was freeze boundaries, because every time we would try to rezone or do something with a school, something would change with the Memphis City Schools and do it. So that's all it was trying to freeze boundaries. It wasn't trying to grow or expand or shrink, we just freeze. And so from there, that created where Memphis dropped it, and we ended up having to kind of like, okay, we either had to be absorbed by the larger system, and basically our superintendent, our staffs, as soon as we started getting absorbed, they started kind of getting pushed out. And we were like, we have a good model, so why do we want to ruin our model? And so that pushed for us to kind of reverse course, instead of the special school district status, to go after municipal schools, which didn't even exist in state law at the time. They were old. It was an old, antiquated law. So it took a couple years of doing that, and it was a team effort amongst all of us in the municipalities. But it's like I said, it's one of my, that's kind of, I think I got elected right then. I was actually serving as mayor and on the school board at the same time for 2 years. And it was a challenge. I don't know where we found the time to get it all done, going back and forth to Nashville, but the result is what we see today, is how the municipalities and the schools that we have are all, if you look at them, they're all tops in the state. They have good leadership, they have good personnel, and then you see the student populations have all thrived in there. So programs like this, programs, like I know we have machining, welding, we have other classes, whether it's the extracurricular, everybody thinks extracurricular is football and basketball, but it's not, it's more. The band is excelling, everything. So it's really created more of a sense of community pride, even more so than when we were, just Bartlett, German, they're our own individual communities.
And you have two jobs that are very fulfilling. Obviously the mayor, but then being a lieutenant for a Memphis Fire Department for the last 22 years, correct?
Almost 25.
Almost 25 years.
I'm getting old. I know it's that the hair is turning gray and not black anymore. So.
And when you're an EMT, when you serve multiple different roles, you never know when you're going to spring into action. And that happened to you this past summer at Walmart in Bartlett. Yes. It was in June, and you were in the store at the time, or around the store, of the tragic shooting that happened over the summer in Bartlett. And you sprung to action. If I read correctly, you ended up using T-shirts actually as a tourniquet to help the victim. Can you kind of walk us through what that was like? Yeah,
it was, you go through, when you're working for a fire or police and in emergency mode, you have the tools, you have personnel with you, you have, you can radio for help. This was something that nobody ever thinks of. It was one of those things. I just got my hair cut. I was going to the gym. I decided to stop in Walmart and get some dog toys. And I'm all the way in the back of the store, and all of a sudden you hear some bang bang. And at first, I've been in Memphis, so I've heard, and I'm a hunter and I'm a outdoors guy, and I've heard gunshots. But being inside a store, it didn't sound the same. So sounded like metal shells falling, and you were so everybody kind of stopped. Nobody was screaming and running. Everybody was loud, but nobody was sure. And it felt like it was 20, 30 seconds later. It's probably only like 3, and then you hear bang, 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 and you knew what it was then. And I look around. I'm in the very back of the store on the back wall, and I've had active shooter training, and I don't know if there's 1, 2, 3, 10 people. I don't know what's going on. I'm first, they tell you to run, hide, or fight. Yep. And I was like, I looked at the front door from the very back. I could see almost where the front door was, but I'm a little older than I used to be. I don't know if my speed is what it once was. So I was like, I don't know if I want to run and get shot in the back. And so second was, I'm going to stay here and hide. When there was an older couple back there, and there was another lady with her daughter, and the lady and her daughter, and I was like, y'all need to get out of here, because they could go around. The older couple didn't really, quite understand what was going on, because again, and you hear people screaming at that time. You see people running through the different departments, and so I'm trying to just help. Like, hey, y'all need to, let's go this way. Let's go this way. And they were calmer than anybody in the store. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't know what was going on. It's just they were calm. I even think he was I think he had an Army or a veteran hat on, and they just kind of started walking up. And then so I was like, all right, I'm going to follow them out. And I look over and I see somebody helping somebody, and he was shot. And so they were going up front, and I helped them get up front. So I just kind of got up there, and at that time it was like, do I leave and look out for myself, or do I not even know what's going on, or to try to help this person who was shot, not knowing what the circumstances were? So I went over, and there was another gentleman and a lady that were kind of same boat as I were. We all kind of got down, and he was, to make it long story short, he was shot probably 8 to 10 times. He was conscious, but he was freaking out. He was going into shock, and so yeah, we said, grab some shirts off the racks, let's use them. And it was not knowing, and I'm still looking around, not knowing if somebody's going to walk up with a gun while I'm there. So I'm still kind of keeping my surroundings open. Luckily, Bartlett Police, it felt like it was 30 minutes. I think they got there within 2 to 3 minutes. Right. And then when SWAT team guys are standing over you with rifles, and while you're trying to help, and they get down and help package up the patient is what we call it,
right,
until the ambulance gets there. It was a very, I'm not saying exciting, it's a very adrenaline rushing moment. And so luckily it all worked out, and the shooter was just kind of standing there. He dropped the gun and was just standing there. It was a domestic between two coworkers. So you don't know, but you don't know. Yeah. And that's where the job takes you different when you're in person. Just like, do you do what you're trained to do, or do you not?
Do you feel like it was one of those things, like it was a coincidence, or you were in that store for a reason?
I don't know. Some people say that's the way a lot of people say it, and it's one way to look at it. God put you in a place for a reason, but I do feel good that I used my training to help someone out. But it was when there's people that are close to you and they know you do that for a living, when you call them later, they're like, why didn't you get out of there? My wife wasn't real happy that I stayed in there, and so she's happy with the result, but again, that's the protective nature of family and friends, is like, you got to look out for yourself first, and that's what we all have to do. But if you have the skills and can help someone out, you should, if you can.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And then you were honored by the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. They made a resolution, correct? That was about a month later. That had to have felt good to get that award in a way.
It did. Because we don't do it for recognition. If you look at a lot of our uniforms on the fire department, some people may have some medals because of certain circumstances that were a little more bigger than others. But for the most part, we're saving lives every day on average, and you don't expect medals for that. So I didn't want to get the award because I didn't want any recognition on me, but when they called and asked, I said, if I can say how good the Bartlett Police Department is and try to make everybody feel that don't be scared to go back into this Walmart or go into Bartlett. They did a job, professional. This wasn't it was an active shooter, but it wasn't somebody coming in unfortunately, like the school shootings where they come in. This was really between two people, and they decided to take it out in a public place.
Right.
So it's still scary that it happened, but it made me feel better that it was more like that than just somebody wanting to harm a bunch of people.
How do you feel like your experience with Memphis Fire has helped you and prepared you for mayor of Arlington?
It just it helps you. It causes you to have to deal with people all the time, and most time you deal with them in their worst situations. So you can either learn from that and take that and bring it back home and do it in some other type of capacity like I do as mayor, or you can get numb to it. And so the big thing is trying to be empathetic, trying to just be there when people need you. And so one of my things I take pride in is, I put my cell phone number out there publicly. I respond on social media, and I've talked to a lot of the other mayors and other people in elected positions. They're like, man, I don't know how you put yourself in that position, because it's not that I'm trying to, I just kind of got into that mode at one point and I haven't been able to get out. Right. But usually I can help at least guide people in the right direction then. So it just kind of, you got to be empathetic, even if sometimes, whether it's personal views or political views or something don't necessarily line up. You just try to give people the correct and right information and get them going to where they can help get their problem solved.
Yeah, and a lot of that too is navigating the unexpected, and recently we had a government shutdown, a record-long government shutdown. And how did that affect Arlington as a whole? How did you see that directly affect this community?
It's kind of weird, because when you look at it on the national level and you hear 42 million people rely on SNAP benefits. Now, a lot of that's not 42 million families, but it's the family members of some of those. Definitely. So, but you still, when you look at the percentage of what the U.S. population is, that's probably 12, 13%. So we probably all know somebody that relies on government benefits. So in looking at that, it hopefully, I'm hoping that it made the government, from federal, state, and even down to local, however benefits are distributed, kind of look at that, because I think one thing we realized during the 42-day shutdown, or whatever, it was somewhere around there, was that nobody wants to have to rely on someone to feed them.
Right.
But some people need it, so whether it's based on, whether they're disabled or the unfortunate circumstances. But we also have to sit there and try to figure out how can we help these people that need it short term not go long term. And so, but and the way that relates back to Arlington is one of the first questions we were asked, not just me, but I think all the elected leaders were like, what are we going to do? Are we going to, I think sometimes people think that Arlington or the other communities just have a big bank account where we can write a check and just, pick up where the federal government did, and it's not like that. So I was just left an event to where it's really your civic and faith-based organizations that really pick up in these times of need. I mean, we have like a community pantry that people just post on social media, but a lot of the churches around have been doing food drives, working with MIFA and the other types of organizations to get that out. So we just try to help share that message, and it didn't get to the point to where we had to get really creative. It's unfortunate that people had to go through that. But hopefully that's all, everybody are getting more of a path to back to normal. But hopefully the conversation in general is, let's don't get to this point again. So how can we make it better from a benefit standpoint to help alleviate that problem before, because if we get in this, it seems like we kind of hear about it almost yearly now about government shutdowns.
Yeah.
And you never think of one being this long.
Right.
So at some point, the two political parties are going to have to get off their egos and find the common ground and realize this is not going to work.
Yeah, and I know it affected more of East Shelby County more, especially when we get down to SNAP benefits. It was really the Memphis area that was affected. But there were still people, like you said, in Arlington. And I know that you said you put your number out there. You want to make yourself readily available to the public. Did you have any families trying to get in touch with you and saying, Mayor Wisman, we're going through it right now. What can we do? Honestly,
not. I had some more, like I said, some community organizations. How can they help?
Okay.
And so really it's just getting them in touch with the other ones. And like I said, they were wonderful. They took the lead on all that. So that's where everybody assumes, like I said, if you got one government shutdown, federal government, and it's really more than just the SNAP benefits if you think about it. When the government shut down, we know we've had the issues with Memphis where we've had all the law enforcement in town.
Oh, yeah.
Our two hotels were full of law enforcement.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of those people I don't know how they're getting paid or if they're getting paid or waiting for their back pay.
Right.
So that creates other issues. So it was a challenge overall as a community. So how do we overcome that?
Yeah. Definitely. And what about the grant side of that?
That's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, that's the other big thing, especially in smaller communities too.
Well, and so federal grants usually shut down anytime the government shuts down. There was actually one earlier this year, back in the spring, where they basically cut off all federal funding on grants. And that gets down to schools deal with federal money. Anything that has an interstate is considered federal. So, highways, interstates, even though the state may take care of some of it, federal highways, federal bridges, and grants that we do through some of our funding sources from we all have a local, state, and federal breakdown.
Yeah.
And depending on what communities you live in, sometimes your federal's higher or lower. But it freezes money to where, like I said, when people think that we have a big checkbook, sometimes we're like, wait a second, we've got to be able to keep your lights on, keep your streets paved, keep your sewer going. That's our first, the services come first before some of the other things. So that's where sometimes there's a disconnect when people don't understand that, but it's tough to balance that.
Yeah. And the last thing, I don't know if this would be intertwined with that as well, but the renovation at Town Hall.
Yeah.
Do you have a timeline on when that will be completed?
Actually, yeah. We were supposed to be through right here by the end of November. But as we got in, anytime you get into renovation, we were renovating 75% of the building.
Yeah.
Not the boardroom, but we got into the boardroom, and then some repairs over the years maybe weren't done in the proper fashion, I guess you would say, to where it was truss roofed, and somebody may have cut the wrong, and the ceiling's sagging a little bit. So once we started looking at all that, we said we had to go in there. So it added to our timeline. So we plan on moving furniture and maybe staff back in sometime in December, if not definitely early January. So we'll be back operational, I think, in there in January at some point. And then our board meetings, I don't think we'll be in there in January. We'll probably be, we're using the school administration building for our board meetings. But by February, 100% we'll be back in there. But January, I think we'll be operational daily in there. But it was just one of those needed things. Our town hall, if you looked at it, had like 4 different kinds of brick, same as the fire station next door.
Right.
They've all been added on, renovated over the years as we've grown, and we had no office space for growing staff. So it's much needed space and much needed. So we're excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the final product. And my final question is, as you look at the future of Arlington, what are you most excited to see develop in the near future in Arlington?
Well, I don't think people. Question. No, I don't think people realize that Arlington. Everybody just thinks of Arlington from getting off at I-40 and going towards 70. With Kroger moving, I want to see something come back, and I think there's some movement with some landowners looking over off 70 to kind of keep that a thorough corridor, a viable one that people want to still come, like I said, eat and shop and stuff. So right. I think because the Milton Wilson airline, where we are right over here close to the school, that's going to take care of itself. As you see, there's stuff coming left and right. But if we can get that taken care of, and then everybody forgets that south of 40, the other side, where the Donaldson Elementary side, between there and 64, we have probably 2/3 of our land in Arlington over there that's undeveloped. So we will grow. Yeah. We will grow. And so now as a board, our challenge is how do we grow? We know we want more residential, but do we need some more like industry or light industry? We know not heavy industry, but light industry, kind of like what we have with the microports and Stryker that's out here and some other businesses. We need some of that. We need jobs out here. We need people that are working out here during the day and eating. And shopping and living. And so we get that, we get more residential. That's what I'm people don't realize we're about to get a major interchange, our 2-lane or 3-lane interchange. It's old and outdated. It's going to get in 27, start renovation. Okay. So we'll have the exit. We want to be the best place that everybody sees when they leave Shelby County or when they come into it. So as we take care of the north side right now, the south side will start taking care of. And we want to be that community that people just drive through and go, wow.
And as more and more people from age 25 to 35 are looking to buy a new home, and maybe they've grown up in Memphis, but they're looking to move out of Memphis. They're looking to move out east, either Cordova, Collierville, Arlington. What would be your elevator pitch to them to get them to move out to Arlington?
Just take a look around and see what we are, because you've got communities that aren't growing. I've always said if you're not growing, you're dying. So you've got communities that get kind of stagnant, that still, even if they're landlocked, they still want to grow. Even if it's regrowth inside there, they want to grow. But I try to tell everybody, I grew up in the Bartlett area all my life, and Collierville, when I was in high school, and I remember going out there, it was out in the middle of nowhere. It was not, we was like, ooh, Collierville, because it didn't have much. And then all of a sudden, you talk about Blue Oval coming outside of us, you had FedEx come over there, and all of a sudden their growth and their boom and their design guidelines. And so they've grown in a good way. And where I tell people we're more fortunate than I think most of the communities around here, because we were even smaller than the Colliervilles and stuff. So we had more of a blank slate. So we've had strict guidelines, design review, that has given a good look as we grow in town, that everything's going to have a really good look. And the first times, every time we grow with something, people say, next Cordova, and I'm like, why can't we be the next Brentwood, or why can't we be the next Germantown? I'm not saying that's what we're trying to do, but we want to be Arlington really, but just don't think that every new restaurant or every new little building is a hindrance to the town. It actually, with our guidelines and what we have in place, it actually helps out. So I'm excited about where we are as a community and where we're going.
Right. The ceiling is not there right now. We don't know where the ceiling is.
No. We're like I said, we're about 1/3 of the way developed. So we'll grow. But to kind of get back to your question real fast on on trying to draw people here, that's what I'm saying. Look at us. Look what we're doing. Look how we're growing. We're growing in a good way. And then one of the biggest controversies in any community is, as you grow, usually you go from a small bedroom community to you may have the multifamily. Well, apartments always kind of scare people, but we try to tell people you need a certain amount sometimes. Not that you necessarily want it, but you need it, because for that college kid that just came back, or that young family that's coming, they may not have 20% to put down on a house. Right. So how do you get them back in your community if they can't afford a house? Well, at least you can get them in here to where they can get into a place. Maybe it's a 2-bedroom apartment or something where they can get involved in the community, and then as they see something that they can work towards, then they become a part of that community long term. That's what we want. We want people to we want these kids from school to go graduate, go off to college, go enjoy yourself. When you want to come back, we're here for you, and come raise your family back here.
All right. Well, Mayor Wisman, it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and hopefully we can do this again here soon.
I'll be glad to anytime.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.